We were delighted that we were able to get some words, these great words from Minister Sack, so that is fantastic. Before we begin today's program, I would like to inform everyone about a door prize draw that will take place at the end of today's program. And for the prize, we'll be giving away a complimentary registration to the CFMHN National Conference in Ottawa, which will be in November this year. So please stick around to see who will win. And a reminder that we'll also be sending out an evaluation survey in the next couple days, along with your certificate of attendance to get your feedback on the education day. So please keep an eye on your inbox there and complete the survey when you receive it. Before our keynote, additionally, we have a few basic ground rules for all of today's presentations. Please, as participants, to keep yourselves on mute at the start of the session to minimize any disruption, and just please hold your questions till the end of it. We will definitely have time for questions at the end of each session that will be facilitated by our panelists here. And then if you have a question, you can also just use the raise hand tool. So in that, it is under the reactions in tab or a little button in your Zoom toolbar, or you might see it directly on your participant toolbar there. You can raise your hand and we'll make sure to keep that orderly and get to each of your questions. You can also feel free to use the chat tool to enter your questions if you're more comfortable doing it that way. That's no problem. And we'll get to it as best as we can there. So to start today, really have the pleasure of introducing Dionne Sinclair. Dionne is an accomplished certified healthcare executive who is currently the Vice President of Clinical Operations and Chief Nursing Executive at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, or CAMH. A visionary leader with a passion for transformative change and innovation, Dionne has honed her skills in creating a climate that fosters innovation and develops novel approaches to achieve strategic outcomes. Throughout her illustrious career, Dionne has been celebrated for her unwavering high energy, strong work ethic, and enthusiasm and excellence in all of her endeavors. Known for her ability to motivate and inspire others, Dionne is also sought after motivational speaker, sharing her valuable insights and experiences to empower individuals within and beyond the healthcare community. So without further ado, I'm happy to pass over the mic and the screen to Dionne. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Troy, and welcome everybody. Happy Mental Health Nurses Day. And I know it's from Alberta. I've got Whitby. I'm looking at Hamilton, Montreal, St. John's, Newfoundland. So it's great that this is a national program. And I just love seeing everyone on the screen. I know for the ones in witness protection, you may not be able to come on screen, but for the ones who are, I'm going to celebrate you. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and I have to give fair warning. There will be audience participation, so you're going to be asked to write something in the chat, or you're going to be asked to give an emoji when needed. So today I will be speaking on promoting health and promoting mental health nurses' well-being, and my bio's already been read, but I bet you didn't know some of these things about me. So I'm an immigrant child from Jamaica. And I usually start off by saying, do not let my youthful good looks fool you. I graduated nursing back in 1986. So anybody else graduated in 1986? This is where you can give a thumbs up emoji. Anyone? Am I the only one? That's me down here in this picture. I also was in Army Cadets, and my biggest supporter right here is my mom. I'm also a mom of 3 beautiful daughters right here. Althea, who's 35, also a registered nurse. My middle daughter, Pam, she is a social worker. She works in Ottawa. She's making me a grandma come next month, yeah. And my youngest, Brianne. All this I'm sharing just to say, if there are moms on here, give me an emoji. If there are daughters on here, give me an emoji. If you are a child belonging to someone, thank you. We have so much in common. I am one of those lifelong learners who was always going back to school. So this picture right here, I started out as an RNA at the time in 86. This is my diploma RN picture. This is me graduating from York University with my master's. I'm just sharing this picture. This is, I call it the Dionne slide, the immigrant picture with the, only 2 Black kids in the class. My brother Steve was the only other person in my class until high school that looked like me. So the agenda, I will be pointing out some key points for mental health nurses to strive and thrive, the ingredients for curing and about creating a valued and sustainable environment, advocating for your own well-being and self-care, and some resources for mental health nurses and how to access some of those resources. So some key points. When it comes to self-care and well-being, I've got some points here in my notes, but I want to see in the chat, what are some of those things that you do or you do believe people should be doing for their health and well-being? I did say audience participation. I need to see the chat blow up, or that means I just see names and nobody's here. Okay, I'm going to read it out. Going to the gym, sleep, physical activity, you take a walk, you eat, you sleep, you exercise, spend time with family and friends. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Pets, fresh air, hobbies. That's great. Mental health nurses, you need to prioritize your own health and well-being. It is not being selfish. It actually being very supportive of yourself. It's like that oxygen mask on the plane. Put your own mask on first. It includes regular self-assessment. Check in with yourself. How are you doing? It might sound strange, but literally take a look in the mirror and talk to yourself. How are you doing today? And if not, we're going to go through some resources that you might need. No free overtime for work. Okay, I love it. Everyone read the chat. There's some great things in there. So regular self-assessment, seek support when needed, and maintain a healthy work-life balance. For continuous education and training, stay up to date on the latest evidence and practices when it comes to treatment. So there's meditation. I know in your profession, you know about medication, you know about the professionals, but there's other therapeutic interventions that are crucial for mental health nurses to provide high quality care. Continuously learn, educate yourself, look for the best evidence, look for the best practices. And when it comes to collaboration, teamwork, fostering a culture of collaboration in your workplace and open communication with the multidisciplinary team is essential. Did I see that in the chat? Did anyone say collaborate with the multidisciplinary team? Remember, you can't do it alone. And I know sometimes nurses believe we can because we're like super people, but it's great. Teamwork makes the dream work. So mental health nurses should actively engage with the psychiatrists, social workers, occupational therapists, and other healthcare professionals to ensure there's comprehensive patient care. And it is so okay to go to someone and say, you know what, Rosie, I'm struggling here. I'm not sure what's going on. Have you ever seen this before? Or you talk to Victoria and say, Victoria, come, can we have a talk? I'm just not having a good day. And Victoria could be social work, OT. It's great that you really build strong relationships with the other team members and rely on them. And when it comes to coping strategies, given the challenges with our work currently, you should develop effective coping strategies, which include stress management, debriefing sessions when things go wrong. If anyone came into Zoom call, oh, all right. Access mental health services. So again, it's time for the chat. Let me know what kind of coping strategies. I know there's activities for self-care, but do you have any coping strategies you want to share with your colleagues? There's 50 of us on here. I should see at least 20 coping strategies. Anyone does meditation, yoga, cuddling, mindfulness? Yes, outside. Do you notice that? Self-care strategies and coping strategies, they go together. They're the same. And then advocacy and empowerment. Mental health nurses, you play a vital role in advocating for your patients' rights and promoting mental health awareness, empowering patients through education, support, and involvement in their contribution for positive outcome. There's nothing more satisfying. When I actually meet some of our patients outside, I just smile. I keep going. I don't out anyone. But when you see someone that came in sick and you are discharging them and they're so much better. When you're advocating for that patient, it actually, well, warms my heart. I don't know about you, but it's great when you don't just see when someone comes in crisis. It's great to see them. I love our outpatient nurses as well. They get to see them when they're doing much, much better. All right, so our ingredients for creating valued and sustainable environment, supportive leadership. Okay, don't put anything in the chat, but you may want to give me an emoji if you have a supportive leader, if you want to. All right. Okay, in the chat then, what would you like from a supportive leader? Because strong leadership that values the contributions of mental health nurses, providing mentorship, advocacy, resources, those are essential. So at CAMH, and I believe there are some CAMH nurses on here, for me, you need to feel valued and appreciated. You need to have that sense of belonging. You also need to know that you have an equal opportunity to become the CNE. Seriously, I'm going to be a CEO one day, and I do need someone to replace me. So you need to have that opportunity for advancement, for developmental assignment. And you also want to know that your voice is heard. So your leadership should be able to understand the scope of nursing and values. You have to be patient, feeling trusted. See, thank you, Kristen. It's so important that leadership matters. So I'm going to talk to the leaders on here. And I know if you're a nurse, you're a leader. The role you have is to grow future leaders. Your manager, director, VP, or just a experienced nurse, you're growing those future nurses that are coming your way, the clinical externs, the new grads. And it's super important that you are supportive as a leader. I always usually say there are plenty of nurse leaders out there, but if you can't find one, you need to be one. Anybody want to give me an emoji for that or an amen? No? Okay. All right. Workplace safety and resources, ensuring a safe work environment, adequate staffing levels, access to necessary resources, appropriate training, handling challenges, situations, and fundamentals for fundamentals for well-being. So if you are not feeling like you have the proper resources, really talk to your manager, supervisor. If you're the manager or supervisor and you have some control, ensure your team has the resources they need. Also, appropriate training. At CAMH, we have the TIDES program, which is a trauma-informed de-escalation program that everyone must go through. It's mandatory. So that is how to handle challenging situations. I believe other places might have nonviolent crisis intervention. Whatever it is, ensure that you actually take the program. We actually found out that many people, they were they needed to renew their TIDES, and everyone is up to date now. But to have some credibility, especially when you're a leader, you cannot go out and tell everyone, well, you need to take X, Y, and Z if you haven't taken X, Y, and Z. When it comes to wellness program, implementing a wellness program that focuses on physical health, I saw that in the chat, mental well-being and emotional support can significantly contribute to creating a sustainable environment. So at CAMH, we have a thing called lavender support. Someone give me an emoji if they have lavender support where they work or something. This is particularly for staff after a critical event, after some stressful event, that we have other staff that come to support them. Has anyone heard of lavender support? I don't know that we do the best job in taking care of staff. Oh, it's a shame, Kristen. Staff are the most important people in the organization, seriously, because when the staff are fine, oh, there's a rapid response team. When the staff do well, patients and families do exceptionally well. So my philosophy is the staff are the foundation of the organization. They're holding the organization up. And if you don't have a strong, solid foundation, most things crumble. So you have to take care of that foundation, make sure it's solid. Oh, they have a lavender team in Kentville. Thank you, Kentville. All right, getting feedback mechanisms. If you are that supportive leader, you have to establish regular feedback with your nurses. So I hope everybody here has had a recent performance review. Can anyone give me a thumbs up, an emoji? You've had a recent performance review in the last year, in the last 6 months? Okay, I don't. Oh, I got one. Awesome. That's not good. Somebody had one next week. Okay, that's good. If it's coming, that's great. It really is important because it's a two-way street when there's a performance review. You get to voice some of your concerns at the review. Yes, I know you can do that, especially when you do have a supportive leader. You provide input on process improvement, practices, and decision-making that foster a sense of ownership. And what I do with performance reviews myself, it's like, well, I would like some executive coaching. I'd also like to do XYZ course. One of them a few years back, I want to do my CHE. I want to become a certified healthcare executive. I put that down on my performance review. I'm not saying it might work for you. However, now your supervisor needs to help you make that happen because it's a goal you want to attain. It's amazing what you can do when you get very creative with those performance reviews. Okay. But it really is important to have feedback. There's nothing worse than working very hard, knowing that you are doing a good job, but not hearing from your manager or supervisor. So again, managers, supervisors out there, make sure you talk with your team. Reward and recognition, same thing. Dedication and hard work of mental health nurses. You do need incentives. You do need public acknowledgement, and that reinforce your value within the healthcare system. So how many people on here actually nominate any of their friends or colleagues for nursing awards? Anyone? Anyone? There's quite a few awards out there. There's quite a few. I know in Ontario, the RNAO, I think it just closed. They had several nursing awards. That is something that you can do just to reward and recognize a colleague. And it would be amazing if one year only mental health nurses received all the nursing awards, Nightingale Awards, whatever the awards are. Am I being not realistic? Oh, somebody wrote a reference for a nursing student. Thank you, Matthew. Awesome. So think about it. There are many awards out there. I know there's a National Nursing Leadership Award. We should think about each other and think about nominating amazing nurses who are doing awesome things. We just keep it really quiet. We should not do that anymore. All right. So addressing those points and ingredients, you can create a supportive and sustainable environment. And thank you all for the participation. I really appreciate it. Zoom is really hard to be interactive. So advocating for your own well-being. We've already talked about some of the self-care practices, but seeking support, you have to recognize it's really important to seek support. So I'm going to get personal for a minute. I'm not saying this for anybody's pity, but in 2015, I lost my brother to gun violence. And I am tough. I am strong. I thought I could handle it. He was in that first picture, the immigrant school kids, me and my brother, the only two kids in public school. He was shot and killed. And I was strong for the whole family. And you know, when you're the nurse in the family, you have to hold everybody else up. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't advocating for myself. I had to stop and seek help because I couldn't even concentrate. I couldn't function as I used to. Imagine me quiet. For those who know me, Victoria, you know me. Imagine me quiet, not saying anything, not wanting to do anything, not wanting to go out, not even want to get out of bed. Somebody knows, absolutely, we're all human, but sometimes we keep it to ourselves and we don't tell anyone. So people think, well, it must be me because no one else feels this way. We all get there sometimes. So you need to seek help. I sought help. I got the help I needed. I still miss my brother terribly. However, I share my story just to say it is okay to reach out. It is okay to seek support, and it is okay to set boundaries. So I have a note right here. I have this thing, and my team knows it. I have a right to disconnect. If I am not on call, please, the building has to be burning down for you to disturb me because I have so much other priorities and things going on. You have a right to disconnect. And it's super important. Set clear boundaries at work, but also in your personal life, and to prevent burnout and promote your mental health and well-being. Sometimes it's not work, it's family. I know a few nurses who go to work to get away from family because they need to do everything under the sun for home and for the extended family. So please remember to set those boundaries and then educate yourself and others. I've mentioned this before, increase your awareness and recognize signs of distress. Sometimes it's hard to recognize it in ourselves, but if you have a strong relationship or friends that can say, hey, Josephine, you're just not seeing yourself anymore. Can we talk? I like your smile and I haven't been seeing it in a while. I'm not saying that's going on, but you can do that for a friend, and especially someone you trust. That's one of the best things you can do for them. Recognize signs of distress and advocate for evidence-based practices. People will tell you a lot of things, but we do know at the bottom, you'll see all my references. But exercise, fresh air, just even taking a deep breath or smiling can change your mood. It won't fix everything, but I smile a lot because some people who don't wish me well, I smile because it's like, yeah, I'm a positive mindset for me, keeps me going. And then collaboration and networking, build relationship with your colleagues. I've mentioned that before. Join support groups, engage in collaborative efforts and to address mental health challenges. So if you're on a sports team, I want to hear about it. In the chat, this is your chance again. Do you play pickleball? Do you golf? Basketball? Dodgeball? Bowling? Hey, curl. I curl. Anybody on here curl? Basketball? All right. Anybody run? You do marathons. Somebody else golf, cycling. Awesome. What else? You're part of a running group. Somebody sleeps. Riley, I want to join that sleep group. Kayaking. Somebody else curls. Rosie, awesome. Allison also sleeps. Okay, well, Matthew's laughing. It is important to have support groups. So for Black and Brown nurses on here, I founded the Canadian Black Nurses Network. And really, it is just a group of us. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn to get together, support each other, motivate each other. It is great when you have that connectivity. And somebody used to paraglide. Victoria, you should still paraglide, maybe, or not. Okay. So fun fact, I am on the Jamaican Olympic curling team. I worked in Thunder Bay. I took it up. Just like the bobsled team, Jamaica now has a national curling team. We're going to the Winter Olympics in Italy to just, look good in our uniforms. But anyway, next. Some resources available for mental health nurses for self-care and well-being. Well, most organizations have wellness programs, and please, please take advantage of all the wellness programs. For all the people with organizations with wellness programs, give me a thumbs up, an emoji. You should have a wellness program in your organization. Anyone? I don't see any emojis. All right. So Access Wellness Program focusing on physical health. We have a gym at work. Does anybody else have a gym where they work? And people, it's $10 a month, way better than any other outside gyms. So take advantage of those things. And it's really helps with even emotional support. I work out. For those who Googled my name, you'll see that I love weight training. Middleton, Nova Scotia, small but free. Yes, somebody has a gym in their basement. They work from home. Okay, awesome. Super important that you can take part in the wellness programs. Hotlines and crisis line. CAMH with a bunch of other community partners launched 988 just recently. And that's anyone that if they're in distress, they can call. And 988 is super important. It is a suicide prevention hotline, but it is a hotline. You can talk to someone 24/7. Spread the word, 988. And then advocacy, collaboration, and we've already said about self-care. Do you see a role for retired nurses to absolutely? Yes, I do see a role for retired nurses to support nurses. As a mother of a nurse, yes, they absolutely do need support. Please, I will share my contact information. So you're wondering, well, what does Dionne do for her health and well-being? I am a Zumba instructor. I also worked for Good Life for 15 years teaching body pump, body jam. This is a picture of one of my last Zumba classes before COVID. There was over 100 people in the class. It didn't matter if you're male, female, it didn't matter, any very diverse group, let's say that, but we had fun. And so much fun that I usually am asked to be the person who like brings out the entertainers at Ottawa's Caravibe. It's like the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. All that to say, find something you're passionate about, find something you love, and that can be a part of your health and well-being. Oh, somebody loves Zumba. Awesome. Because you cannot just work. Does that make sense? I don't work to live. I live to no, yeah. I work to live. I don't live to work. It is one part of who you are. It cannot be all who you are because one day you will retire or one day you may not be able to work. And so you have to find other things that you're passionate about. And even if it's just walking, walking is amazing. It's good for you. Next. All right. How to access those resources? You have the employee assistance programs, most professional development programs, and there again, I have said about access hotlines and crisis support. So employee assistance program offer confidential and free services that provide access to mental health resources, such as counseling, therapy, and support groups. And it is okay, your whole family can access the EAP program. And it is confidential. It's usually an outside agency. It's no one inside your organization. It is there for you to access. Advocacy and collaboration. Advocate for better mental health resources by identifying gaps and speaking up. So if you're unionized on here, you know that you can speak to somebody in the union to say, hey, next time you guys are negotiating the collective agreement, yes, I'm a VP and I'm saying this, there's a gap. We need, I don't know, massage chairs at work. Do not go back to your organization and said, Dionne Sinclair says you need to give us a massage chair. Advocate, though, for something you need. That's all I'm saying. And education for yourselves and collaborations. I know some organizations are bringing in people that do wellness or do mindfulness or teach yoga. So you can advocate for those things if you don't have it where you work. And if you're in small town Canada and you don't have a yoga teacher, guess what? You could be the yoga teacher. You could be the Zumba instructor. It's a one-day training. And then you could be the one to help your colleagues with their mental health and wellness. Does that help? Okay. Awesome. All right, my last slides here. Be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can. I know it's very hard because we can be our toughest critics. How many people on here, give me an emoji, give me a thumbs up if you are your toughest critic? You wouldn't say to your friends some of the things you say to yourself or about yourself. Okay, you don't have to give me an emoji. I say it to myself. And this one is very important. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you absolutely need to take care of yourself and let your family know that. You're taking care of yourself so you can better take care of them. Does that make sense? All right. And please, 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 it's for your health and well-being. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know already. I'm not sharing anything that is like brand new, fundamentally different than something someone else would say. These are just basic things. You have to look out for yourself, look out for your friends, look out for your colleagues, look out for your peers. Take care. And you know what? Start a walking group at work. I was at South Lake and the nurses, where were they? I think it was OB. They had line dancing at lunch. they would do like the Cupid shuffle, or they would do like all these different line dances, and the music would play just for like 10 minutes. It was amazing. It's just stop everything you do and just relax and have fun. I always ran and made sure I joined in on the fun. All right, so these are actually active links, so I hope my presentation gets shared, but online resources and references where information comes from. There's lots of information out there. There's lots of evidence and best practices when it comes to your mental health and well-being, but it does start with you. And it starts with you deciding that you are worth it and you're going to give yourself grace and take the time you need to take care of yourself, to go to the gym or go for the walk or just eat healthy. There's one thing, I'm going to stop sharing now. That's my last slide. One of the things I didn't talk about, and I usually share with other groups. How am I doing for time? Somebody please stop me. I can talk forever. I'm good. All right. So the last thing, and it's stressful for nurses because I was one of them, is your financial health and well-being. Nothing is more stressful than living paycheck to paycheck. And I do know that happens with nurses. I'm a single mom, been through a divorce. It does happen. So find yourself an advisor, somebody who can help you. Even talk to someone at your bank, because I know many nurses, they're working 2, 3 jobs. They're working overtime. They're working double overtime. They're working Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. Their children are raising themselves. And that's not healthy. That's not good, because the other thing that happens in this country, because you're working and you have a T4, guess what happens? All that overtime you work, the government comes back at tax time and say, oh, Miss Sinclair, you worked yourself into a brand new tax bracket. You owe us a lot more money and we're here to collect. Ask me how I know. So it's so important that find an advisor. Sometimes the benefits provider in your organization also offer advice. Talk to someone in HR, because the people that come talk to me, it is, Dionne, I don't know what I'm going to do. I am so stressed. I'm doing one credit card, paying another one. And I do give some advice. I've got some background in it. However, it's something that nurses really need to seek help in, because you work way too hard not to see some fruits of that labor. And I've done this before. I looked at my T4 and then I looked at what I have in the bank, and it's like I've been robbed. Somebody must have went into my account and robbed me, because that's not right. So please, that is, financial stress is extremely damaging to a nurse and to a family, especially when you do so much overtime and 2, 3 jobs. The kids need you at home. So seek an advisor, talk to someone, and they will help you get on the right track. That's it. That's all I have. Hi, Victoria.
Thank you, Dionne, for such an excellent keynote. My name is Don Lytle. I'm the Federation President. I'll be facilitating the Q&A as well as the ongoing the discussion for this keynote, as well as for all of the remainder of the sessions today. If you do have a question, we can do first come, first serve. Just please put up your hand and I'll call you out. If you're not wanting to speak within the group, happily put your question into the chat and I can read it out on your behalf. So some definite wisdom in Dionne's words, as always. I would open it up to the floor then for any comments or any discussion on the keynote. And I see Daniela has her hand up. So Daniela, you're first to go.
Hi, thanks, Don. Thanks, Dionne. This was a great keynote. It's nice to see you again. I really missed your energy. So, I mean, you're an inspirational leader, an amazing nurse, a mom, just like such a model. And what I wanted to ask is, what did you find is the biggest challenge? And I don't necessarily mean for you, like, but being part of the system that's complex, that doesn't always look out for a nurse's well-being, and yet being the one to advocate for it. What has been the biggest challenge, or it is, or anything that you could?
So because of my energy and the person I am, one of my biggest challenge is I can't do everything. even though I think I can. So I've been told, Dionne, you can't boil the ocean. And I finally figured, oh yeah, I know what they mean. And the other challenge is slowing myself down and taking my own advice, because it's like, what are you up to now? Stop, rest. So challenging myself. The system really is, I'll say what it is. For others, it's you can navigate it easier. As a Black nurse leader, I find I've had to struggle every step of the way to make it to where I am. That's why I ended up in Thunder Bay, Ontario, because some people who've heard my talk before, I was in Ottawa, and the VP, she said, oh, it's not your performance. You're just not a good fit for my team. And that day she let me go. And I actually shared that at my next interview to say, it happens. And so I never get married to any job that I'm so loyal that if they let me go, I'd be like devastated. It's like, no, I give myself 3 to 4 years in places, and then I have a plan to move on. I've always had the Dionne plan, and it took me to Thunder Bay. Now it put me on the Jamaican Olympic curling team. I'm going to be a CEO one day. Everybody on here knows that. So if you're ever in a room, Victoria, and they're saying, hey, we need a new CEO for London Health Science Center, I wonder who we could call. Speak my name in the room where the opportunity is being discussed. That's what we can do for each other. For me, it's challenging because I like things done quickly, like now, right now. And I've had to learn to be patient. And my mother laughs at me all the time because I was the most impatient child. And she goes, see, you're learning. And it's like, yes, I'm learning to be patient and wait and include everybody in the decisions. All stakeholders need to be aware, lots of stuff. But it was all for my good and for my benefit, because I did learn and I reflect on what I was doing. And because of that, I believe I am where I am now, because it's sad to learn all those lessons the hard way, but I did learn them. Some people never learn them. So I can say it very proudly now. You'll see me at meetings sitting, and I am quiet. And I do listen, and I take notes. And people say, Dionne, we haven't heard from you. And it's like, oh no, I'm practicing my active listening skills. So you make it what it is, the system that you're working with. And look for positives. I'm always looking for the positive, and I do have goals. It's like I never fail. I learn. I either win or I learn. And I'm always learning. There's always opportunities to improve. And I never take myself seriously, ever, because lots of opportunities still to improve.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
We have a couple of questions, Dionne, in the chat. The first one is from Wendy Bowie. Do you have any advice for wanting to take time off for self-care, but having the anxiety of work that waits for you when you get back? So how to ask for self-care time and deal with the anxiety for what you know you're going to come into when you return back into the work environment.
Okay. So just be very honest, saying I need this time. So when I get back, I'll be a better peer, a better coworker, a better nurse. The second thing, I leave a message on my email because I will be on vacation. You know, you're out of office. If you sent me an email during this time, it's supposed to go to, you know, Josephine, I'm picking on you, who's covering for me. If it is super important, please send me another email when I get back, because I get back to 400 emails. It may not be seen or read because you saw my out of office. And so I'm very deliberate with how I message my out of office. If it's that important, they're going to send me a reminder. Oh, Dionne, I just want to bring this to the top of your email. It's like, thank you very much for doing that, because it was at the bottom on the like 399th, and it would probably not get seen. I do depend on my team when I'm away. I trust them to, you know, make decisions, answer questions. So I shouldn't have much when I come back. And I educate the rest of the staff at CAMH. Please, if you have a question about this, talk to Sharita. She's the Director of Nursing Practice and Interim VP and CNE while I'm away. So she can handle it.
Excellent response. We have an online question again from Megan Pledge. It's about the lavender teams at CAMH. So it's a two-part question. The first, how long has this been in place? And was there immediate buy-in from the staff when lavender teams were implemented?
Okay, so it's lavender support. And I do believe there was buy-in. Only reason because I came from South Lake Regional Hospital where they developed the lavender. It's like code lavender, but we don't have a code call. And this is for staff that are in distress or staff who've come through something very traumatic. It's been around, I think, either a year and a half or 2 years now, but I can put you in contact with our Sean, who's responsible for the lavender support. And we actually have policy, procedure, documentation, and I think we've written a paper, a discussion paper on the effects of it. But this is a response for staff who just need the support. Usually after a critical incident, traumatic injury, they are available on the units. And they're not just for frontline, they're for managers. I've participated in a lavender support, and we can do it virtually for people just to talk about what they went through, how they're feeling. Oh, some people have a code purple. There you go. So yeah, lavender support. I can get more information. I can put my CAMH contact in here. I'm putting my CAMH email in the chat.
Thanks, Dionne. I have a question as well, and it was something that really caught my attention at the end of your talk. Just bringing the financial aspect as far as a source of stress for us. We often think about the work as being the big source of stress, but we also have lives, and like you said, working to live and living to work, and that kind of balance. Maybe I just open it up to you or to anybody. Ways of managing, especially nowadays with inflation and like now it's worse than ever. So how are people in your organization managing with the financial stress and the impact that has on their ability to actually do their job effectively?
I think it's education and financial literacy, because many people, they don't have that literacy. And I do know Sun Life, which is our benefits provider, HR did bring them in to sit down with staff and talk about where to save, where to invest, things like that. But staff came and said, well, it'd be great how to save if I had anything to save, but they're literally paycheck to paycheck. So you have to become financially literate. And that's something I personally had to do because I was one of those staff working 2-3 jobs and overtime, a lot of overtime. You have to understand the tax system, how it's set up. You work so much overtime, you've put yourself in a new tax bracket. People need to know this ahead of time, because come tax time, if they're asking for $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 back, you actually went to a shift for $2.49 an hour. And if people understood that, I don't think they'd pick up that overtime shift. It isn't worth it. They'd go become a business owner, become something else that you actually get some tax breaks. So I had to go get that for myself. We talk about living below your means, setting a budget. Maybe you need to consolidate your debt. There's lots of things that you can do. And having an emergency fund. When I got let go, it wasn't a layoff. I was in a panic because I'm going, oh my God, what happens if I don't find another job? I'll have to go back to the bedside. That feeling alone is enough to, cause a lot of stress. So having a plan. What would I do if I lost my ability to earn income? So there's things out there like even critical illness. I'm full disclosure, I do some financial services, but critical illness is so important because 1 in how many nurses now are afflicted by cancer? And your workplace may not have critical illness. They have short-term disability, long-term disability. But if you're used to your full salary or overtime and you're the breadwinner, I know a lot of single moms who are nurses and your kids need you. So it's so important to get that financial education because there's lots of tools out there to assist you if you know they exist. I was 50 years old when I found out. I was 50 years old when I got a will. My brother, when he passed, that's when I got one. I have time. I have time. He died without one. And it was a hard lesson to learn. So on here, find someone, find an advisor, talk to someone, call someone, and get those things in order, because your family don't need to suffer. And that can happen. Sorry to be such a downer, but it's super important. And no one has that conversation with us. When we're in high school, did anybody get financial literacy class? College? See, Troy, where'd you go to school? Because my school didn't do that. No, okay, no, and it's really important. And nurses, we actually do get great salaries, but what do you have in your bank account savings, or how much do you have left over? Because inflation is eating away at everything. Anybody seen the price of gas lately? Anybody on here can go to Costco and leave without spending $200. I want to know the secret. And I'm one person. Anyone? Does it happen? I hear it might happen. Yeah. So I hope that's help. Start financial planning. See, there you go.
So there's some positive examples in the chat of some colleagues that have started planning right at the beginning of their career, and that's good to see. And then some great comments. Nursing schools should have financial literacy integrated into their course. Nurses are professionals, and that could be very valuable information within a nursing education curriculum. It looks like the majority, though, didn't have any financial planning and would greatly have benefited or appreciated it.
Yeah.
So a very
And I know someone put our RSPs in the chat, but do you know about the tax-free savings account? Because I had those RSPs, and when I hit some hard time, I went to take them out. They took half back in taxes, and I didn't know that. So there's government has other things out there you can access. I've put my email again in the chat. Please reach out. It's something I am passionate about. And then having 3 daughters, I don't want them to make the same mistakes I made, because it is like, although I look young and gorgeous, I'm going to be 57. I know, right? Josephine, you're smiling. And so I'm closer to retirement, but I can't go. I was supposed to go at Freedom 55, right, Victoria? Remember Freedom 55? I'm just trying to avoid going back to Walmart or Tim Hortons when I'm 70. So I'm working hard right now, living below my means, to make sure that doesn't happen. It is something important, and the less stress you have if you can stay home with your kids, it's really helpful.
excellent information, Dionne. Any questions from the group or into the? There's nothing into the chat, but there's some excellent comments going into the chat. So if you haven't had a chance, please scan the comments. Any additional questions for our keynote, Dionne Sinclair?